Hi, everybody. Jen Green here from Property House. Thanks so much for joining us on this Tuesday after a lovely holiday weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed time spending with your family or friends if you were allowed to get out and about. I'm excited to talk about the topic that we have today, which is finding the right team in 5 easy steps. You know, as an entrepreneur, sometimes that beginning part is extremely lonely because you're doing a lot of things on your own. You're wearing many hats. It can take a long time to really get to where you want to go. So building a really good team is super important for that. So I'm excited to get into that today. But before we start, for those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Jen Green. I am part of Property House Partners. We're located here in the Twin Cities Metro in Minnesota, and we specialize in helping folks out of difficult real estate situations, such as, you know, inheriting a home in probate, if you're going through a divorce and need to sell, a bankruptcy, if you have a looming foreclosure, any of those situations, we're able to help you out. And, you know, create something by taking over your payments for your home or paying cash for your home and making things as simple as possible. We also have a YouTube channel, which is Property House Partners. And out of all of these lives that I've been doing for this past several weeks, I just had some feedback of some folks saying, you know what, it's really been hard to find the answer to my question because some of the lives are a little bit longer and I just have one question, you know, that I need the answer to. So I've been posting a lot of the popular questions and answers on that site. So if you go there, you can subscribe to our channel, like, comment. If you have other questions there, send them in the comments. Like I said, I'll be happy to make a short video and then post them there. And then you can also follow us on Instagram, which is Property House REI. And that has a lot of our fun postings about some of the renovations that we're doing, before and after pictures, which are super fun. I also, before we get into the meat of things, I also want to let folks know that starting next week, because things are starting to open up in Minnesota a little bit, I'm going to be pulling back on my lives and start doing my lives 1 day a week versus 2. And typically, I know I wanted to keep the same day, but just because of how scheduling is working, I'm going to start moving them now to Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time. And so if you're not able, you know, to join us for the lives, you can always look on my feed again, or we always have them posted in our video library on our website, which is propertyhousepartners.com, and house is spelled H-A-U-S. So to get into the meat of today, you know, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of capital on building a really good team. I think that when you really look at the meat of how an entrepreneur was able to make it, it's based upon the team that he or she has put together. Because again, in the beginning, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit Thursday, and I'll say it at the end, but building that team can only take you further. And so I put together 5 steps that I think are really essential to building that team. And the first one, you know, is really getting to know who you are as an entrepreneur. I went to a really amazing business conference. It was a business vision workshop, actually right before the quarantine happened in mid-March, and I was in St. Louis. It was with Sean McCluskey, and it was really about finding out what your unique genius zone is and then building your vision based upon that. And so I ended up taking, you know, a personality test, and there's quite a few of them out there. There's the predictive index, which is the one that I took for that. There's the DISC personality test. There's Myers-Briggs. You can find a bunch of those. But what the predictive index told me was what kind of a person that I am and how I lead. And so it lets you know what your strengths are, and then also, you know, maybe perhaps where you're not as strong. It's not necessarily a weakness, but somewhere where you may need someone to help you, for instance. And so, you know, what I did too, and part of the homework that we had to do for the workshop was to send out an email to friends and family asking, you know, what your talents and abilities are, characteristics that describe you, what you think I'm good at, how I do things, and then what you can count on me for. And I sent that out to about 15 people, or 15 to 20 people. And it was really cool to see the feedback that came back, because I started to notice patterns of how people see me and what I'm good at and what they can rely on me for and how I do things. And so the biggest things that popped out for me is that I'm a direct communicator. I'm loyal, I'm accountable, all kind of together was driven, motivated, determined. I like to get things done, and I'm a compassionate person. And so really building upon that part of you as an entrepreneur and making that work for your business, taking those skills and then leveling up on those skills, because that's going to help your business grow, is those pieces that you're good at. And then perhaps, some of the weaknesses, quote unquote, that you may have. It's always important to get better at those things. I know for a lot of folks, sales, marketing, communication, sometimes it's hard for folks, and it's always important to work on those pieces as well. But as your team grows, and your entrepreneur and like I said, your business grows, your influence as an entrepreneur becomes less important than your team does. Your team is really the one that drives everything and pushes everything forward. And then, like I said, you working in that unique genius zone of yours is going to be the best. So I think a good thing to do is, if you are looking to start a business and grow your team, is to figure out what that unique genius zone is. And that was a really eye-opening experience for me at that workshop, because it not only just gave me confidence and also said, wow, this is really how people look at me, but it also helped me then to determine what my best characteristics are, and then how to push that forward for my business. And then also see where, other pieces of, the business that need other types of personalities. And so not only that, now the first one is figuring out, quote unquote, that unique genius zone is for you. Step 2 is then taking that information that you have and then determining what types of other personalities you need in your business, right? And on your team. And so what I did when I hire a lot of the folks is that I have them take the predictive index, the DISC test, their personality, to see what traits work for them. Now, when I first started this business a couple years ago, by my coaches, Jason Roberts and Rachel Schneider, they had said, you know what, you need to hire an assistant immediately. And so that's what I did. I posted an ad, I followed all the steps that they said, and was able to hire an amazing assistant, Hannah, who's now since moved up in our business. But I really determined that I needed to find someone who's kind of a complete opposite of me, and then us be able to work together to build the vision and the business that I wanted. And so I did that with her. I had her take the DISC test. I'm a very high D and a high I. She was a higher S and C. If you go online, you'll be able to see what that means. I'm not going to get into it here. But that was something that I was looking for, was more or less an opposite of me, so that we could encompass, a really good team. I had my traits, she has her traits, and then we were able to collaborate together and build a really awesome company, like that is super fun, and we all are great. And like I said, have the purpose and the vision behind what we're doing. And so, whether or not you use, like I said, the predictive index or the DISC test, or I'm not pushing any of these by any means. I'm just saying, like, these are some of the tests that you can do. It's really good, like I said, to figure out what you need in the rest of your team, plus also certain personalities for sales and for marketing, assistants, accountants, different things like that. That's going to be really important. And then this is kind of brash, I guess, to say, but doing a quick to hire, quick to fire, more or less. I think we worry a lot of times about hurting feelings. And while I am a compassionate person and I'm very understanding, I think it's extremely important to hold people on your team accountable. So you hire, you give them a 30, 60, 90-day trial to see how it works. If you feel like they're a good fit after that point, then you can hire them. If not, then you move on and go from there. The thing I think is that's really hard, like I said, is the confrontation piece. And a lot of people aren't good at confronting others. But I think we also, as business owners, have to hold ourselves accountable to what we're asking of our team, right? And so if you say, okay, I'm hiring this person, they're not doing what I want, they're not doing the things that they need to be doing, whose fault is that? Was it because you didn't have clear expectations and you didn't hold them accountable? Or is it because the person isn't fulfilling the things that you asked them to do? And the other part I think that's really important is that we have to be able to talk about these things with the people that we're working with. Have open conversations, do check-ins, make sure that you're helping them grow. Because that's the other part of being a business owner, is that you have to usher your team along the way and take constructive feedback, and then also create those boundaries, of course, but have them be part of your team and create and having that vision that's going to be important to then help you go to the next level after that. So making sure that your personalities work together, And sometimes, to be frank, there's people that are not going to probably like the way that I do things. And there's other people on their team that they like the way that they do things. So perhaps maybe it's better for those two to work together, and then me to steer the ship. I mean, there's a lot of different things I think that you can do to make your business work, especially when it's a small business. And so the second one, like I said, personalities, making sure that you have the right personalities, the right person in the right seat. That's the other thing, is that somebody may think, hey, I'm a really good fit for X position, but then you look at it and see the components that make up X position, but then you see later, like, wow, this person actually better fits in Y, right? And so that's a conversation that you can have with that person. And if you're figuring out what their unique genius zone is, they may think it's something, but then it's really something else. So again, positioning them in the correct and right seat. Just because they're not good at this position doesn't mean they won't be good at this position, at the Y position. And so I think really keeping a pulse on what's going on in your business and seeing if people are happy, and if they're not happy, making adjustments and making things work, because ultimately, like I said, your team is what's going to be able to carry you on to that next level. So number 2, like I said, is personalities, right? And making sure that they're the right person in the right seat. The third one is, it's a little bit tougher, and it's loyalty and trust, right? I mean, I think there's so many times that, we go into things and tend to either over trust or under trust people. And this can be tricky. I'm an extremely loyal person and a trustworthy person. That's one of the things that came out in my unique genius zone as well. And I know that about myself. And so I tend to, over trust people too. And not that I'm trying to be negative and say, oh my gosh, people are out here to screw you. That's not the case by any means. But building that loyalty and trust is going to be extremely important in your business. And you then mentoring that person to help them grow. Yes, everybody needs a paycheck and everybody likes a paycheck. And a lot of the times people say, I can't do this unless I get paid X amount of money. But the thing is, it's not necessarily always about money. You have to create, for me, I like to have it feel like it's a family environment and that we're having fun and that we're able to trust each other and build and grow together. That's not necessarily everybody else's perspective on things, but for me, it really is. And so, like I said, making sure that you're able to mentor that person, help them grow, create up a development plan. That's something that Dan's really done well in his past, positions that he was in and now here. We really try to create a development plan for our team of saying, this is where you are right now, but where is it that you want to go? And then helping put that together so that they're able to get to that point in a timely manner. And that if for some reason they're not getting there, okay, why are we behind in this timeline? Let's get to where we need to go. And then you can then you can bring them there. And your people, if you do that and nurture and help their development and then be trustworthy and loyal, they're going to stay with you. And you can't always hope that somebody's going to stay with you 100% of the time. And that's okay, because people are going to go off and do their own thing, and that's completely fine. But as long as you're feeling like you were able to build that person up to where that they want to be, they're going to be loyal to you no matter what, and have that good feeling of, this is where I belong. This is a place where I feel welcome. This is a place where I feel valued for my contribution. And then the last one is that your team has belief in your core mission or, your vision and goals. And I know this is a term that's thrown around quite a bit, but it really is important to pin down what that is and why you're doing what you do. And so one of the books that I've used for this and that I actually really love, and that came from my real estate group, my coaching group that I'm part of, REI Blueprint, it's called Traction by Gino Wickman. And this book, I've read it actually quite a few times, but this book really kind of helped put things into perspective to fast track your business and make sure it's working as efficiently as possible, and that the people are on board with you and that believe in what you're doing, right? So the team, to know what your core mission is, to know what your beliefs are, and to know what your values are. A lot of the other things you can teach, right? You can teach someone sales. You can teach someone how to answer a phone. You can teach someone how to do marketing. Those are all teachable pieces. But if first and foremost, they're not on the same level that you're on and don't believe in the same things that you do and are doing things the same way that you're doing the same things that you feel like are important for your business and why you're doing it, then just stop it right there. It's not worth your time and saying, oh, maybe over time they're going to see things the way that I want. And, you know, they're really good at sales, but I'm hoping that these things come through, because it's not going to change. If those things don't match up, you're barking up the wrong tree. And so even those times that you are doing those interviews, it's extremely important to make sure that those people understand what your, you know, your core values are, your mission statement, and what your vision is for your company. You know, your 1-year goals, your 5-year goals, your 10-year goals, whatever they are. Be transparent about what that is, and know that they're going to be the person or part of your team that's going to help get you there. All right. So the other thing is to understand your passion of the business and why you're doing it. Have people understand your why, right? We all have to sit there and say, you know, what's your why? Why did you get into the business that you're in? That's extremely important to keep you pushing forward and doing what you are doing. As I said, you know, entrepreneurship can be extremely lonely in the beginning, because it's you. You're wearing all of those hats. You're doing everything yourself, right? Until you start to expand. And so you have to have that drive inside of you to then show your other people, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. All right. And then, you know, one of the things too is figuring out what your niche is, right? Because even in real estate investing, it's like, you know, everyone's out here, everyone's trying to do the same thing. There's a lot of different people that are marketing the same, you know, to the same different markets, or to the same markets, excuse me. And you have to figure out what makes what's your unique selling proposition, or your USP. So I'm going to get into that a little bit on my next video that I do on Thursday, but so I don't want to deter off the topic too much, but you know, those are the things that are going to be really important. So number 1 is that unique genius zone. Number 2 is your personalities. Number 3 is loyalty and trust. And then, you know, belief in your core mission, and then understanding what your vision and goals are. Those are the things that are extremely important, you know, in that business, and for you to help build that team. And so, you know, I really think, again, like I said, that your team really kind of makes or breaks you as you know, continue and build to grow. And so I'm really excited about Thursday. So it kind of leads into the Thursday live that I'm going to talk about, which is, you know, growing your business from zero, you know, to $1 billion company, and the steps that you have to kind of take along that time, and what becomes more important, and what ends up making, you know, sense along the way to make sure that you're on the right path to get there. So as a reminder, thanks you guys for joining this. This was super fun for me to do today. And I know my team's probably going to be like, hey, you know, those are some things that you know, that you did with us, and we understand all of these things. And like I said, those are things that we talk about our team meetings every week too, is to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that we're running towards, you know, the same goal, and that I'm pretty much steering the ship, and everybody, you know, we're all rowing together. Sorry for the cheesy analogy there, but it's just the way I like to look at it, because that's what makes sense. But Thursday at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be live. And like I said, talking about how to build a business from zero to up to $1 billion, and some of those core principles of what makes sense the most. And just as a reminder too, starting next week, I'm going to be changing my lives, and I'm sorry to do this. But like I said, things are starting to get a little bit busier here, and the 2 o'clock cuts into my day a little bit. So I'm going to be starting at 9 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday mornings. I'll be here every week. We'll still do our check-ins, you know, at our project in St. Paul. We're almost done with that one, so I'm looking forward to that, for you guys to see that. And then I'll be talking on Wednesday. Maybe I'll go over and visit the house. I don't know exactly yet what'll be happening. But I'm looking forward to Thursday with you guys. And then always remember to check out our video library. All of these lives are posted on there. It's www.propertyhousepartners.com/video library. That has everything there. And then our Property House Partners on YouTube, subscribe, join, comment, ask any questions that you have. I'll be able to post short videos there for any questions that you have. And of course, on Thursday, if there's any updates to the mortgage forbearance or anything like that, I'll always, you know, bring that up, and also just shoot them out on YouTube and Facebook too, if there's any updates on that. I'm sure some of you may have heard that FHA joined in the mortgage moratorium and foreclosure and evictions out until June 30th. So that's all I have for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you on Thursday at 2 o'clock, and we'll talk about building your business from zero to billions. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you soon.